Hello everyone, back with the second part of the poem Water by Challapalli Swaruparani. In continuation to the previous part, where we read about all the things that water knows and has witnessed. Now, in this part, we are going to speak about or read about what the poet thinks, what water reminds her when she sees water. That's stanza 6 and 7. She says, water reminds her of her Vada people who would remain thirsty the whole day for a glass of water. For the Vada, water was not just H2O but a mighty movement. So here the poet wants to say that water, though it is a basic necessity, but for some people it is almost a luxury because they have to invest so much to get it. Being a basic necessity, people are deprived from that. And that's why she is reminded of her Vada people who would, for just one glass of water, who would be thirsty the whole day because they were denied access to the wells or to the places where water was stored, the public places basically. And she says she is made to realize that water is not just H2O, it is a mighty movement for those people who have to fight day in and day out for this basic thing. It is a huge movement for them. She further says that water reminds her of the Mahad struggle at the Chadar tank. This is again an incident that took place in the year 1927, and it was named as the Mahad Satyagraha by initiated by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, where the untouchables or the Dalits were not allowed to drink water from the tank because it was supposed to belong to these so called upper caste or high caste people. Now, that was, according to him, he took all the Dalits and they drank water from that. Ambedkar was the first one to drink water from that tank. Though the government had allowed them, still the other people, the high caste people, did not allow the untouchables to drink water from that. That is why Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had to take up this movement. He went there, as I told you, with other people of the same caste, and he was the first one to drink a glass of water, and the others followed. This particular thing again created a huge uproar, a lot of anger by the from the higher class people, higher caste people, and it again gave rise to a lot of struggle. It took Ambedkar almost exactly 10 years to actually get an access to that water body, that water tank, for the untouchables to be able to use that water, to be able to drink water from that. So we know history has so many instances or incidents that are proof enough of all the struggle that the people have had to go through because of the caste system. That is what the picture here says. Speaks about the Mahad struggle at the Chadar tank on March 20th, 1927. Okay, a single drop of water symbolizes tears shed over generations. She feels this from the bottom of her heart that water is so precious for the people who do not have an access to it, that every single drop of water, it embodies, means symbolizes tears, that so many tears these people have shed for generations. It further reminds her of the many battles fought and how blood flowed like streams for a single drop of water. For every drop of water, they had to fight and shed their blood. So much of struggle that they had to go through. Still, they could never manage to win even a small puddle of water, is what the poet says in this stanza. She says that in spite of all the struggles that they had been through, or all the bloodshed that took place, these people were not even able to get a puddle of water. Puddles are these which, after the rain on the streets, because of a depression in the land where water gets collected, not even that much water could these people get for after putting in so much of struggle. So she is reminded of all these things, all these memories just come flooding to her when she speaks about water in this poem. The next is stanza 8 and 9. Water reminded her of the weekly bath which felt like a wondrous festival to them. When she sees water, she is reminded that when she lived in the Vara, how taking a bath once a week seemed like a wonderful, a beautiful festival to all of them. And whereas, in contrast, the entire village bathed luxuriously twice a day, whereas the other village people had this facility, had this luxury to take a bath twice a day. You can see the huge disparity between the people of the same place. Some one particular community or some people are not even able to keep themselves clean. Once a week they get water, whereas the others take bath twice a day. So that's a huge disparity and so much of injustice meted out to someone like that. Now, water reminds her of her childhood. She says that water reminds me of my childhood. They had to walk for miles to reach the big canal, carrying heavy pots with the veins on the necks straining. She says that just to collect water, they had to walk miles together to go to that huge canal, and it was because they had to collect water in different pots. So pots on their heads straining. It was so much of a pain to be walking so much with these pots filled with water. The veins on their necks seemed to be bursting, straining with that pain. They had to undergo so much of pain just because of water. Stanza 10 and 11, she speaks about, she's reminded of Malapalle burning to ashes for want of a pot of water. Again, another incident where she speaks of this Malapalle village in Andhra Pradesh, which was again burned to ashes. The thatched houses were burned to ashes, and the reason was only water. Just a pot of water was needed, and for that, it was burned to ashes. She speaks of that as well. On one hand, water can give life, and on the other, it engulfs the dear lives. She says that water is so powerful for the people who are deprived of this simple thing. They are made to realize that water is so powerful that, on one hand, it gives lives to people, it gives life to people, and on the other hand, it can devour lives. Devour is a word used in the text which means engulfs dear lives. It can eat up lives, it can engulf lives. Okay. Now, how? The water that refuses to reduce thirst can become the killer tsunami wave following swallowing villages. So here she says that water that refuses to reduce thirst. Sometimes we don't get that much water. This is what she means here, that we don't get that much water to be able to reduce, or to be able to uh, get help ourselves from getting free of these parched throats. I'm using the words from the text. When someone is very thirsty, in spite of the situation, one is not able to get enough water to quench his thirst, to reduce the thirst. Okay, on one hand, this happens, and on the other hand, the same water turns into a killer tsunami and swallows villages. So you can see the various forms that water has, and that is what she's trying to portray through these lines. stanza 12 and 13, she says, the poor are toys in the cruel hands of water. It is always the poor people who are at the receiving end, always, who are the ones who have to take all the consequences, bear the consequences of everything because they don't have that much of financial strength, is what she means to say. That we are just toys in in the cruel hands of water. Water turns villages into dry deserts and sometimes drowns them in floods. All of us know whenever there is lack of water, there's a situation as drought. Okay, there is the villages are turned into dry deserts, and sometimes there's so much of water that everything is just inundated, everything is just flooded and washed away. So that is how, and in this process, it is always the poor people who are always at the worst situation. Okay, that is why she says that we are toys in the hands of water. Water can ignite struggles not just between villages and the Vada, but also between states. All of us know that so well here, that how can water light up a struggle? Ignite means create a struggle or give rise to a struggle, not just between this village and the Vada in the same place, it can also ignite struggle between states, one state and another. We all have witnessed that and we know that very well. And then all the loss that has to be borne because of those struggles. So, it can make blood run in streams, but also, ironically, sits innocently in a Bisleri bottle. She has so beautifully portrayed the various forms of water and the various ways that she visualizes water in. She's saying that at one point, water seems to be creating so much of a furor and so much of unrest in the lives of people. Some people dying or shedding blood just for the want of a drop of water. Some dying because of so much of water coming in. That is again in the form of floods. Water can create or uh, spoil lives, according to her, and it can make people shed blood in streams, just like as if streams of blood are flowing. Okay, and at the same time, water can be seen ironically so contrasting to the situation that she has spoken about, so much in the opposite side or in a different way. If you look at it, you look at a Bisleri bottle and you see that the same water that people are shedding so much of blood and losing their lives for sits innocently in that bottle, and there is a name as well, Bisleri bottle for that, Bisleri water for that. So that is another such a sharp contrast between what she has gone through and the other truth that exists. Stanza 14, she says, sarcastically states how water from their village well forced them to do a circus feat. She remembers that how much of an act feat is an act, a circus act where a lot of skill and everything, a lot of struggle is put in to achieve something. So for them, achieving a pot of water was no less than a circus feat. Pot of water from just there, the well that is there in the village. So she sarcastically states that water from their village forced them to do so much of a circus feat as if they were performing in the circus. And the same water now secretly dances its way into the Pepsi man's bottle. She says again that the same repetition here, that of thought, that on one hand people are dying, on the other hand the same thing secretly, surreptitiously is the word used in the text, which means secretly, where it just seems to find its way into the Pepsi man's bottle. Water is no more a mean matter, according to her. She says that it it is it has a lot of power in it, and there is a lot of uh, it is like a status symbol nowadays. Okay, so you can see the huge difference that she's trying to portray through her lines here. Okay, it has a new name, mineral water, which can take to the skies and raise a storm as well. She says that water now, the same water now has a name, a fancy name like mineral water, and the same water has the ability to create a huge storm, to rise to the skies and create a storm. Here she speaks about all the struggles that she and the community people that she belongs to have had to go through. Stanza 15 and 16. Here, according to the poet, water is a significant thing. In the book, she says water is no mean matter. No mean matter means that it is a significant thing. It is something which cannot be just brushed off as being unimportant. Water is a significant thing. That is what she has realized, and all of us know that. It is a multinational market commodity. Now, look at the sharp contrast again. Water has changed its form. Look at how it has become a product, a commodity which has a huge, which has a market, and not just here within, but it is a multinational market commodity it has turned into. She says that water knows everything as it contains the world. According to her, she says water is omniscient, it knows everything. Water is because it contains the world. The whole world is within it. She is reminded of so many things, so many instances, incidents, all the struggle, everything, and now a completely changed form of water that we all can see. So she says it contains the world. Thusly, the poet effectively portrays the plight of the lower caste people. Through these lines in this poem, we can so effectively understand. She has been so precise and been able to create a complete picture in front of the eyes of the reader, the struggles that the untouchables or the people belonging to the Vara have had to go through. She has given so many instances that we can visualize through her lines and understand the pain that the so called lower caste people have had to go through for nothing huge but a simple thing as water, which is now a huge multinational commodity and which is fancied so much with a fancy name and everything. But for some people, it is still a struggle to get even a pot of water. Forget about a pot of water, a glass of water to be precise. So, this is what all the poet says here, Challapalli Swaruparani. It's a wonderful poem where we can understand the plight of the people, and I would want you people to go through the video again and see if you have understood. You will definitely understand. If there is something, you can anytime get back to us. So, thank you. Have a good day.